Hello Amusement Park Portal. In this video we're going to be looking at skip the line programs at Six Flags, Cedar Fair, and even Disney parks, and to see the impact it has on the guest experience and the pros and cons. Now let's face it, nobody likes waiting in a long line, especially when you're spending the day at an amusement park. It's probably the biggest complaint guests have. So the park started listening to guest complaints and started coming out with skip the line programs like the Flash Pass and Fast Lane. And in 1999, Disney debuted Fast Pass. The process was quite simple and it was an even playing field for every guest. You simply find a kiosk in front of the attraction you want to ride, and it would spit out this return ticket and give you a specified time to return to that attraction for immediate access. This program was a huge success and guest satisfaction rates were on the rise. This program gave guests the opportunity to ride the park's biggest and longest wait attractions without having to wait in the long lines. The park still offers a variation of the skip the line program, however, it's no longer free, and I'm not even going to get into all the different levels and options that they have because it gets very confusing. After the success of this program at Disney, Six Flags jumped on board with their version called Flash Pass. Now, Six Flags' version of this had a different approach than Disney. You got this little gadget here, and you would scroll down to whatever ride you wanted to reserve. You would reserve a time for that ride. Once it was your time, you pretty much walked right up to the ride and got on immediately. As with Disney, there's been several different variations of the Flash Pass at Six Flags, including this wristband they used to have. Now it's pretty much app-based. You use your phone to reserve ride times. One of the big advantages of Six Flags' Flash Pass system is the reservation times. It only allowed so many reservations per hour per ride, which guaranteed you weren't going to be waiting very long. And in return, the guests waiting in the normal standby line weren't greatly affected by this at all. After witnessing the success at Disney and Six Flags, Cedar Fair decided to throw their hat into the skip the line program ring. And in 2011, starting at Kings Island, they did just that. However, the difference with Cedar Fair's program was you can ride rides unlimited as many times as you want. You could ride your favorite coaster, get off, and get right back into the fast lane entrance and get on the ride again with little to no wait. And unlike the Flash Pass at Six Flags, reservations were not required. It was unlimited. However, by not requiring reservations and not really limiting the sale of the product very much, it led to several issues. A few of those negative impacts are an extended wait for Fastline users and the additional time it adds to those waiting in the standby line. And in addition to that, it dilutes the value of the Fast Lane. Now, the current pricing structure for the Cedar Fair Fast Lane starts at $99 per person. Now, that's a limited rides. It doesn't really include the bigger rides or the new rides. But if you'd like to get the newer and bigger rides added onto there, it's going to cost you a little bit more, starting at $125 per person. However, if you're a regular visitor, instead of having to purchase a new Fast Lane every visit, you could purchase the Fast Lane Plus all season. Now, for your home park, for just your home park that is, it costs you roughly $950. But if you're planning on traveling to several Cedar Fair parks per year, I recommend the Fast Lane Plus all parks, and it's only a couple dollars more at $9.99, so it's about a $49-50 difference between the single park and all park. So at that point, if you're spending that much money, it only makes sense to go with the all park add-on. And unlike the Six Flags version that's app-based, every visit to a Cedar Fair park you receive a wristband for which you take to the entrance of the ride, or the fast lane entrance to the ride, and you scan under a scanner, and then it allows you to proceed onto the ride from there. In addition to that, several parks have started selling single-use fast lanes, which will allow you to skip the line on one single ride. But that can be quite pricey. I've seen them go up to $35 for a single line. And with all these options out there to skip the line, you really are diluting the value of the product. And with all these extra cost options to skip the line, you really are diminishing the experience for the average park goer that doesn't consider buying a fast lane or can't afford it. Just for an average family of 5, it would cost over $600 per day to purchase skip the line passes for your family. And that's out of reach for most people these days. Another thing I wanted to bring up was some of the queue lines for these rides are immersive and interactive and tell a story about the ride you're about to experience. And by using the skip the line, in some cases you miss out on all of that. And another negative aspect I want to mention about the skip the lines is it's maybe good now, but is it bad later? I mean, if you visit a theme park without a fast lane and you got hundreds of people skipping in line in front of you, and the only option to get on a ride sooner is to purchase a fast lane, well, I can almost guarantee you're less likely to want to return to that park in the future. And this rings especially true for families that just can't afford the fast lanes. I know several instances where there's some families that are not going to be returning to certain theme parks just because of that. It's gotten to the point where if you visit a theme park on a weekend during the summer, or even during like the Halloween events going on at a theme park in the fall, it is impossible to enjoy your day without purchasing a fast lane. Now, the subject of skip the line passes has really become a sore spot lately for a lot of people that visit theme parks. But don't worry, I think I found some solutions that may help. The first solution would be to limit each rider to one ride on each coaster or major attraction per visit. By doing this, you could reduce the cost of the product, therefore making it more available to more people. This will not only prevent the fast lane line from backing up, but it will also help the standby line as well. And at the same time, the park will still continue to make major profits off this product. Another option would be to put a cooling off period between rides in place. By doing this, you're going to control the amount of people through the fast lane and help the standby line at the same time. And another limit that should be in place is when a park opens up a brand new attraction, to limit it to one ride per visit for fast lane user. And the final option out there to help control the fast lane situation is probably the most common sense one. That's to actually limit the sales better. Now, the parks claim they do limit the sales of the fast lanes on a daily basis, but I don't think that's true. In the over 20 plus years since Fastlane has been introduced, I think I've noticed some cutoff sales once, and that was at Cedar Point. It was on like a Halloween weekend Saturday. That's the only time I've ever seen them cut off sales to Fastlane. And on that day, the Fastlane lines were well over an hour each in themselves. Parks should also look at increasing the price of the Fastlane. Right now, its price point I believe is too low. Too many people are buying it. I think that doubling or even tripling in some cases the price of the fast lane would help out a lot. And I also wanted to add in, I know there's some people out there who probably think I'm anti-fast lane, but that's not the case. I've actually used the program myself several times in the past. My main issue with the program is how it's being implemented at some parks. Now, at the end of the day, theme parks are a business, and they are in business to make money. And I totally get why they sell Fastlane. It's great for the bottom line. But when you start outpricing the average family and they don't return as often, or they just don't return at all because they can't afford to, that's not really good for the bottom line in the future. So there's got to be a middle road to all of this, one that satisfies everybody. And I've mentioned a few options that the parks could implement. I want to know what you think. How do you think parks could fix this system? Or are you happy with the current state of how they are operating the Fastlane systems at parks? Either way, let me know in the comments down below. And I want to thank everybody for tuning into this video, and I ask that you please do us a favor and hit that like and subscribe button. It only takes half a second to do so. That's a way you can help us out, and it's free. So once again, thanks for watching, and we'll see you out on the midways real soon.